I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, raping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger, purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Life is a journey, and the Doherty Family College will help you get where you want to go. Located downtown Minneapolis, this affordable 2-year college provides free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaches, one-on-one mentorship, and a Metro Transit pass, making DFC the perfect pathway to a bachelor's degree. Turn your dreams into reality. Connect with a counselor today at dfc.stthomas.edu.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies overnight with a low around 63. Thursday, a chance for rain with a high around 82. And Friday, partly sunny with a high near 69. Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood bar and destination restaurant serving delicious food and drinks. They have patio, dining room, and barroom seating available, as well as takeout and delivery. Current hours are 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily with the full menu available until midnight. That's Nightingale off 26th and Lindale. More at nightingalempls.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings that wounded me.
I am awake.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanjahade, which means distant thunder. And I'm here with Wendy Pilot, my sidekick and spiritual leader there. Yeah, she's my everything. So it's great that we do this show together along with Ogimaa, who's off today, and Lewis Eagle Thunder, who definitely needs a assistant now because we've been just loading him up with a ton of work. And my name is Robert Pilot, and we discuss Native issues all over Turtle Island. As you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. Call them at 651-304-9986. They're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. for all your COVID-19 questions.
Yeah, well, you've been busy out in the front, and I've been busy with my job, and we've just been really busy, but you have that pollinator garden out in the front.
Prairie pollinator garden.
That's a tongue twister.
It is. I'm so excited about it. And tomorrow it's going to be completed tomorrow. Tomorrow will be just the last touches.
Wow.
But it's really pretty spectacular, and it's just unbelievable. And I just want to give a shout out to Kaylee Moody. She's the expert. She knows all about which plants need to be put where, and which plants help other plants, and which plants need a lot of water to go into the rain garden. And I'm going to have some food, as long as the bunnies and the other little animals don't eat it first. I'm going to maybe have some asparagus, and we'll have some strawberries coming up next year, and some all kinds of stuff. So I'm like so excited. We got our lawn out of here. Like, we're not going to be watering and mowing. Not that we watered our lawn anyway, but mowing, and we're going to have a habitat here for birds and bees and butterflies and maybe some tree frogs and whoever wants to come hang out. It's going to be great.
It's rainbows and butterflies.
And it's funny, we were working out there today, and all the neighbors walking by with their dogs or just walking by stopped and asked what's going on. It looks so beautiful. So yeah,
that's good. And
I'm so excited about
our studio is right outside there, and I can see that. And I was getting ready for the show. I do major prep, Wendy.
Yeah,
JK.
major. It's major.
I turned on the equipment, and there was a lot of people that stopped and looked and talked to whoever they were with.
It's so exciting. Next year we'll do the Boulevard. We didn't do the Boulevard this year.
Cool. So wait, let's get to Lewis, who's stepping in for Ogimaa today.
Yeah.
And again, Lewis, thank you so much, and welcome to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake.
Thank you for being here. It's always an honor and a good thing to be on Native Roots Radio, one of just the most amazing Indigenous radio shows you'll ever listen to. So please continue to support us here. But I was hearing Wendy talk about cross pollination, and I bought my mother 2 apple trees, and we're trying to get away from just like greening our lawns. I think grass is one of the largest. What is it? The largest crop that we grow in the United States that actually does nothing.
Yeah, there's more acreage of grass than like food.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You think of the food deserts and stuff going around. It's just crazy. But in Lakota, which is I'm a citizen of the Rosebud Sioux Nation, we call trees or apple trees tashbachan. And tashbachan means like apple tree, and you have to cross pollinate them as well as or else they don't grow. So it's really cool to see that type of relationship between not only human beings, but also things like trees that we need to source each other together, and that gets us right in the news. Senator Tina Smith of the Democratic has a Democratic plan to clean up the U.S. Electricity sector. The Clean Electricity Payment Program, sponsored by Smith, would be the biggest clean energy policy the country has ever seen. Tina Smith hasn't said anything about the new Line 3 tar sands pipeline Enbridge is building, but in her home state of Minnesota. That's big news. Coming out of oil water don't mix out of Line 5 Michigan, the federal mandated Line 5 mediation ended without settlement. Enbridge has violated its easement. Now it's time for the judge to send the case back to the state court to enforce the pipeline shutdown order. With no settlement, federal court must now act urgently on not Line 5 case. U.S. District Court Judge Janet Neff should now do what she should have been done last March, with nearly 6 months of fruitless mediation ending in a report today of no settlement. Judge Neff must act with a new urgency and allow the state of Michigan to make its strong case in Ingham County Circuit Court for conforming Judge or Governor Whitmer's decision to end Line 5 easement agreement that Enbridge has repeatedly and irresponsibly violated. The court mediators report today saying that there's no settlement with Enbridge in the Line 5 case should mean that the end of the mediation and the beginning of action by the court to allow the governor to protect the Great Lakes. In Canada, our relatives are demanding a reroute of another Enbridge pipeline. Lidtil demands reroute of the Enbridge pipeline. A release from Lidtil Tenia First Nation says it has formally requested a ministerial order to reroute the pipeline, which lies across 130 kilometers of its territory and 1.5 kilometers of its Fort George No. 2 Indian Reserve. On edge of the reserve is less than 500 meters from the site where the pipeline ruptured and exploded in October 2018, terrifying neighborhood residents. Make sure you follow Honor the Earth for the 8th annual horse ride to stop Line 3 and follow Treaty People Walk Line 3 to support the water walkers going from Bacchus, Minnesota to Superior, Wisconsin. That's Treaty People Walk Line. We appreciate support. You can contribute food, shelter, supplies, as well as fuel for the walkers. You can also Venmo at Walk for Water. They also have a GoFundMe as well. Coastal tribes in Louisiana are desperate need after Ida wallops their communities. Tribes face devastating circumstances and little government assistance more than a week after the Category 4 hurricane pummeled their homes. The Grand Kaludulak Band of Biloxi Chichimeca Choctaw tribe is located about 70 miles southwest of New Orleans. The traditional chief, Sherelle Parfait Dadar of the tribe, said the tribe has about over 1,000 tribal citizens, of which 400 fully registered and documented for federal acknowledgement requirements. Parfait Dadar told the tribe is state recognized, but because it is not federally recognized, it lacks access to certain federal assistance and benefits. Tribal members are currently more scattered about the Gulf region more than ever, which worries Parfait Dadar, since she has no way to reach some of them. Some of the elders who returned faced badly damaged homes without services are being evacuated parts of unknown by buses provided by the state. We ask for prayers to be sent to our relatives and look forward for ways to be supportive. Hurricane Ida left behind a water crisis in the Gulf. Hundreds of thousands of people remain without drinking water, and there's no timeline on getting it back. And this is kind of an interesting thing. The last story that I have here, I got about 1 minute, but basically, Minnesota agency has appealed federal judge dismissal of its bid to end a case pitting it against a Native American tribe that it sued in tribal court over a permit the agency granted Enbridge for its Line 3 oil pipeline, saying that, these corporations aren't immune to being sued. And I think that's really great news, Robert and Wendy. And shout out to Ogimaa for helping me procure the news today and allowing me to say these things. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate you, and get well soon, Ogimaa. She's a little down on the weather, just a tad, and she needs time off with all the great things that she's doing.
Yeah, and shout out to the people in Louisiana. They've really, 2 storms, really, one after another, really getting them down. So,
hey, next up, State Representative Heather Keeler will be right back after this short break.
Awesome.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more. Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN 350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN 350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Hey, welcome back. Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350. It's a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice.
Yeah. Hey, Wendy, we got State Representative Heather Keeler on the line there, and we're always excited to have her on and check in. Welcome, Heather.
Hello, it's always so good to be here. I'm enjoying this beautiful weather. It's so nice, and so I'm at the park right now. It's always good to be with you all.
Great. You sound good. And Wendy was been outside for the last 3 days working on her whole front yards turned into a pollinator one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I heard that. I was listening earlier. I love pollinator gardens, so I'll have to come by and check yours out.
Check it out. I mean, it's almost 1,700 square feet of our whole front lawn is,
wow.
It has like a little
path,
pebble walkways and a seating area and 4 rain gardens. And I think we have over 200 plants planted. Ooh. I mean, it's stupendous. It's
That's so cool. There was, when we were looking at some campaign material, there's a company out there, and I can't think of the name, but they had like coasters that you could give out. And then, when they're done, you just plant them, and they're, once they are there for a while, then they're like planted seeds and grow pollinators. And so I love that there's companies coming around like that, being innovative and having this like just transition to protect our environment, but then also like create more pollinators all over.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
So Heather, it's great to have you on again. What would you like to talk about? Because I don't want to start crying again, and I see you don't have the baby, so that's good.
I know. Well, yeah, last week was kind of, I think it took us to a place that was good to go to. I don't know, I just give a couple updates on what we've been doing. I think, in the interim, there's things that we're still working on, even though we're not in session. And so we did, as many of you know, I'm the vice chair of the Preventing Homelessness Committee with Chair Gomez, and we did a community talking circle a couple weeks back in my community, but then we invited White Earth over because we talk a lot about that importance of partnering with our tribal nations. And so I thought it was important that because they are, about an hour away from us, and a lot of their tribal members live in our community, they joined us, and we just talked about barriers, in shelters specifically. And then also when our incarcerated population comes out, it's really hard to find stable housing right away. So just thinking through some programs and some options that we could do there. Let's see, we did a task force. Did you guys hear about that? The homelessness task force?
No, let's hear about it.
Oh, I don't know if you're cutting out or if I'm cutting out, but
hear about it. Yeah.
It's a task force that was designed to look over shelters to develop like the safest opportunity for people to stay in shelters. Because we heard often that, people feel unsafe, that they would almost rather stay on the street sometimes than go into a shelter because they can't keep all of their items. They maybe just get disconnected from other services that they were receiving. So we have a task force working on some policy for us to really look at making sure that we're hearing from the people who have experienced homelessness, because I think it's always important that if we're going to make changes in policy, we need to go to the source that it's, helping the people directly.
Yeah, that's really important. Wendy, you know a little bit about that when you were working in the medical field.
Yeah, in the HIV clinic and the clinic, we did have a large, HIV population who were homeless, and it was really hard to keep them engaged in care. And worked with a lot of like Indigenous Peoples Task Force. We work with I can't remember off the top of my head, but organizations to help people to get stable housing, because when people have stable housing, it makes everything easier, and they're able to be more organized with their medications and take their medications every day and stay undetectable and stay healthy. So
Right.
it's a huge thing. I mean, you can't expect, a homeless person to be organized with their medication. And again, time and time again, they would come in the clinic and say, my medication was stolen, my backpack was stolen. It's just a huge problem. And when people have stable housing, they could be more healthy.
Yeah, and I talk about micro units. We're going to bring back a bill that I started around micro units, and they're like 400 square feet homes. We don't need micro mansions all over. Like a starter home for $200,000 is a lot of money for some people. If we can get them into something that's safe and it's reliable and it's consistent, it's a good stepping stone to get us in the right path, to have people permanently housed. And so we're really trying to think across the board in spaces, because shelter care is so important, from a day-to-day perspective, but we really need to think long-term as well. And so I think those are a lot of the updates around the preventing homelessness piece. I think that's been most on my mind and the work that we're doing, just because we've had those conversations in the community, and partnering with our tribal nations is so important. So I guess those are some updates.
Well, I know you were at a land back ceremony this last Saturday, Wendy, and I couldn't make, and because there's stuff going on in my government that I have to be really close to the internet and things like that. So,
yeah,
pictures there. You want to talk a little bit about that?
That was amazing. This bill came to me at a really critical time. The session kind of had highs and lows. And I was really feeling in this space that I needed some purpose in why I was working in the system. And Dr. Waz approached me about the earth lodges, and that they were having the barrier between building codes. And it would have been they could have been fined $10,000 per structure. And they made a statement this weekend that we still live in a society that being Indigenous is illegal. And this was a prime example of that. And, it's something that I really felt honored and humbled to carry. And I said it was so much bigger than just the bill. So the bill itself created a waiver to give an exclusion to the building code for earth lodges for cultural purposes. And that's huge. So now they're right outside of Granite Falls. They'll be able to build earth lodges out there. And it's so powerful and so culturally connected out there that it was really important that we got that done. But what it did is it provided me the opportunity behind the scenes to have educational conversations with my colleagues about culture and why it's so important that we talk about cultural revitalization through everything, through the way that we provide daycare, to the way that we do schooling, our curriculum, our elder care, transportation, our food. Everything comes down to cultural revitalization. And this was just an opportunity to educate colleagues, along with getting this exemption and then going out and being able to be in that space then with some of my colleagues was really moving. Ogimaa was there. We had her join us, sit right in the middle of the crew and experience it together. It was beautiful.
People thought she was a state senator.
Really? Yeah.
No, she was saying that. But what's exciting too is it's part of the big push now, and these guys seem, Holy Oak and all those people working there seem like they're a little ahead of the game of this land back thing that we're all really pushing, and that was really beautiful to see that this land was donated and by white people and in a good way.
Yeah, and it's so moving. Like you can just feel the cultural power there and connection and grounded. And it was really overwhelmingly beautiful for many reasons for me. I still had the baby with me at the time, so I took him out there. And just to hear your language and songs and be around, people who understand you is just so powerful. And we haven't been able to do that a lot in person in the last 2 years in general, let alone have a space like this in our state. So it was really beautiful.
Lewis has got a quick question. We got 2 minutes left, Lewis. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to ask you, as you're from Standing Rock too, so you're a Lakota as well. And I know that as a legislature, you probably have heard of the Department of Education in South Dakota go back on introducing indigenous education. There actually was a march September 13th of the Ocheti Shokoe and all our allies to say that we matter, our education matters. How is it important to you to not only write legislation, but also promote the idea that our, we talk about critical race theory as well as our K-12 education. We have to be solid in indigenous recognition. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that South Dakota did that. And then the same year that North Dakota actually added indigenous history into their curriculum as a requirement. Minnesota, we keep talking about it. And that's great. But how long are we going to just talk about implementing, different pieces? And it's like, okay, well, now we'll add, 2 segments in 2 books and 2 grades, we're nickel and diming ourselves into the education system, and it's affecting the way that adults make decisions. We're seeing that unfold in our state right now, that I think because of the misconceptions and the lack of understanding that we're learning in K-12 on the land, learning about the land in which we're on and the people who stewarded this land for so long, it's doing a disservice to the greater population. And so we continue to push for it. And I think it's nice because as a group, we're growing and understanding the importance of it. We do have at the end of October, we're actually going up to Boys Fort to do a tribal relations training as a legislature. And so, I think doing little things like that will just continue to help us move in a direction, hopefully sooner than later, that's inclusive in our education, for sure.
Well, Heather, thank you so much for being on and checking in. And thank you again for not making me cry this time. I really appreciate it. It's awesome to see you, and keep up the great work. And we just love supporting you and having you on this show. Up next, Bob Blake from Red Lake, Solar Bear News with the Solar Bear. We'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
Experience the difference of intergenerational childcare. Kinder Village brings together the wisdom and warmth shared freely by the older adults of Episcopal homes with infant to preschool-aged children. The goal? To provide each child with a safe, loving, and secure place that promotes learning and fun. Now is the time to enroll your preschooler in a place of endless learning and love. Kinder Village has earned the top 4-star rating from Parent Aware. The children enjoy arts and crafts, reading, story time, and playing games with their many grand friends. Teachers provide lessons in science, math, music, instrumental movement, language, and literacy. The campus kitchen prepares nutritional snacks as unique as the children it serves. Kinder Village Days mix free play and structured activities, allowing children to learn and grow in a flexible and diverse setting. Children who are part of intergenerational activities have better social skills, have less aggressive behavior, have improved learning, and find understanding of those with disabilities. For more information or to enroll, check out kindervillage.org.
We are your relatives.
We are your relations.
Brothers,
sisters,
sons,
daughters.
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hi, I'm Claire Ferreira, president and owner of Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, here to share some information about our 5 for 25 drive program. We ask customers to take 5 minutes to review their experience with us, and we donate $25 to a local nonprofit of their choice. So far, our 5 for 25 drive has raised close to $50,000. Thanks to all of you out there who've taken part in this ongoing program. Find out more about our 5 for 25 drive program at standardheating.com. That's standardheating.com.
Wake up with your favorite sexy liberal, me, Stephanie Miller, every weekday morning from 8 to 11 right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hello? Anybody home? Tired of out-of-town and newly formed construction companies telling you your home has had damage without even inspecting it? Get an honest assessment from Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed exterior contractor in the metro.
Hi, I'm Ryan, owner of Snap Construction.
A few recent storms have come through the Twin Cities that left a trail of damage. And with those storms come out-of-town contractors. Curious if you sustained damage or just want a quote for your upcoming roofing, siding, or window project? Schedule your free inspection today. Locally owned Snap Construction customers benefit from our exclusive lifetime craftsmanship and product guarantees. Don't just restore your home, improve your home with the best contractor-grade material, warranties, and arguably the most well-reviewed contractor. Google us, Snap Construction.
Contact Snap Construction today for a free estimate. 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit us online at snapconstruction.com.
Next Chapter Booksellers has some big new book releases coming out this fall. Works from some of your favorite authors like Bob Woodward, Colson Whitehead, Richard Powers, Margaret Renkel, and Anthony Doerr are being released in September, and you can find them all at Next Chapter Booksellers off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. The store is open for in-person browsing, but if you're not comfortable shopping in person yet, Next Chapter Booksellers still provides free shipping for orders over $50. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies overnight with a low around 63, Thursday a chance for rain with a high around 82, and Friday partly sunny with a high near 69. Snap Construction is a locally owned and operated contractor in Bloomington, Minnesota. They can help with your roofing, siding, windows, insulation, or deck projects, and they don't practice aggressive sales and closing tactics. They simply are there to give you an honest assessment and answer any questions you have. Call 612-333-SNAP or visit snapconstruction.com.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
We are a Lucid Nation.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Montessori American Indian Child Care Center. They're hosting an event called the Pain Phelan Harvest Festival on Saturday, September 25th from 1 to 4 o'clock. So check it out.
Thank you, Wendy. So sorry I gave that Wendy
you just handed it to me.
1 second to read that. Hey, read that. What the heck? But hey, today's Wednesday, and we get a spiritual uplifting from our brother Robert Blake with a Solar Bear. And this is Solar Bear with the Solar News. Welcome, Robert.
Hey, what's going on, Robert? How you doing, everyone? Hey, Robert, I like all the new graphics, that are in the beginning of they're in the breaks.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
I wish I could say that I did them, but Lewis did them all. Look at that.
That's Lewis.
That is so dope,
if
Lewis.
Wasn't on the show tonight, I would have said I did. Lewis.
That is so cool. The radio show came so far.
Remember coming out to Eden Prairie?
Yeah.
Saturdays for sure.
Oh wow. So Robert, I got a really cool story to start us off on. It's manufacturing solar panels in Iron Mountain, up in Duluth, basically, up in Duluth, Minnesota. And the state of Minnesota is putting $5.5 million into this project so Haleen Solar can go ahead and expand their facilities. And 1/3 of these solar panels are going to be used probably here in the state of Minnesota. Wow. So that is really cool.
That's good news. I saw that. And so that means jobs, real jobs.
That means jobs. And that means jobs in kind of a district too that's, let's face it, it's Republican, right? And I mean, think about that district, Robert. If we could turn some of those, people up there into Democrats, and they realize green energy jobs are good jobs too. That's another place, right, where we could possibly get another senator, and change the Senate.
Well, I'm a former union person, and so it's really befuddles me that people that are in unions don't remember the history of unions and how we had to fight for 40-hour weeks, 5-day pays, that people that our union workers take for granted. So this is good, and hopefully we can remind our brothers and sisters in the unions that vote Democrat, farmer labor union.
Yeah, and I would, I don't know if some of you guys, well, I mean, I've been on some of these construction sites, right? Growing up and doing some jobs with these guys, and and what was playing on the radio? You know what I mean? It was talk radio, and it was like
Right.
Rush Limbaugh. You know what I mean? It was like this conservative radio that was playing on the radio, and I always kind of thought to myself, like, these are the things that these guys are listening to, but like they're not really promoting like union jobs. You know what I mean? They're not promoting like they're just promoting this ideology of like someone from the outside is coming to take your job. And I don't know if that has got something to do with the decline of unions, but you really do see kind of the decline. You can really see how this talk radio kind of like got popular, and the decline of union membership of people. And I wonder if there's a correlation there. I'm just kind of wondering.
Yeah, it's been an assault on the middle class since the Reagan era, and I grew up with that. When they're deregulating things as simple or getting rid of unions, like I think the big one when he first became president in 1980 was the traffic controllers. I don't know if you remember that, or if you're old enough to remember that, but that was totally bizarre, and that was just the beginning of getting rid of unions. And since Reagan was president, the the middle class populations turned way small. We used to be the people running things, and now we're scattered, and it's been an attack. Whether it's deregulating radio stations and TV stations at that time you were talking about with Rush Limbaugh. I mean, 8 companies own 90% of the airwaves now, and that isn't the way it was back then.
Yeah, Robert, and that was Patco, right? That was Patco. That was the union. When Reagan broke the, and also at the same time, Robert, that was the fairness doctrine, right? That's when they stopped that's when they attacked the fairness doctrine of like what you can say, what the media can say. And that was the rise of Fox News. So here's my theory, Robert. There's a lot of correlation here in between the decline of unions and the rise of talk radio. And because if any of you out there know and been on a union job site or listen to a radio while you're out there working, you'll know what's playing in the background. It's that talk radio. And I'm just saying, I think that there's a connection there. So
I agree.
One thing I just really wanted to say is that, you look at, up north where, Iron Country is, and you look at Austin, Minnesota, where the Hormel plant, that big union strike, if you guys remember that, 85, 86, that completely changed the system there. And I remember I worked for Weyerhaeuser up in Deerwood, Minnesota, and guys would come out with their lunch boxes. And you're right, Bob, they'd sit out there and listen to talk radio. And that'd be the only channel you get, and it's strategically, right? You get him, or you get that country music or static, right? What are you going to choose? So, yeah, absolutely. Minnesota was such a hub for pro unionization, and now that attack is really taking hold here as well.
Well, so just let me get this, before you get going, Bob, I just want to mention this too. The same attack on a pipeline's good has been happening for the last 5-6 years. I mean, you go to a hockey tournament and Enbridge is there. They're spending all this money, so their correlation is very similar, and the attack is real.
Yeah, I mean, you talk to those people from Duluth, right? And they are absolutely like, they don't like the fact that Enbridge is like supporting their baseball teams, and they're like they're that ingrained in the community. Minnesota, they'll say Duluth is a Minnesota power town, and they're just like, listen, we need like some type of like other companies in here to like do things, because this is just too much influence. You know what I mean? And they too believe it's not healthy.
Right. Yeah. So sorry to digress. We got into a union talk there, but go ahead, Bob. I'm sure you have more solar news.
Yeah, I've got a really great story here out of New Orleans, and the rooftop solar systems there in New Orleans survived Hurricane Ida, and this is one of the people who had a solar system. She says, during this whole Ida incident, I didn't have to chase gas. I didn't have to worry about carbon monoxide. I didn't have to worry about extension cords. The sun came to me. Janelle Hazel is a New Orleans resident, and she says that she rode out the storm with her solar system on top of her home. So, Robert, solar power is the future that will make us more resilient to extreme weather. And I think this is a very good lesson for the rest of the country to look at this, because we are going to experience more extreme weather events. And, solar is just proving that, it can ride out these storms. You know what I mean? And so I think that's really important, especially when you think about, some of our older people who are going to need power, like air conditioning and power for their diabetes medication or whatever the situation is. It's just a good investment that we as a country, I think, need to start making.
What I like about our show, and especially Wednesdays with you, is that we do talk about these things, and we know, and then when we talk to people, like we talked to Dallas Goldtooth a few weeks ago, and he just basically said, and it was shocking to hear, but he was so true, is like, the world's burning. Climate change is here. This is real, and we have to fight back with things that you're talking about, Robert.
Absolutely, and that's why I think that it's so important for all of us to get the right policy people into our elected officials. We need to elect the right officials. We have election season coming up, everybody. Gavin Newsom won out in California last night. Gavin Newsom is for climate change. He's saying this is real, and he's like, we have to fight this. And so we need politicians like that are going to stand up to the big corporations and let the facts be known. As a matter of fact, Robert, California is the number one state for solar installations, with 32,394 megawatts of solar installed in that state. They are the number one state in the country. New York is number 10. But another interesting fact here, Robert, in 2020, a new solar project was installed every 75 seconds.
Wow. Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yes.
Statistics.
And we love these stories. We got a minute left, Robert. Let us have if you have another one, let us have it. Or
$25.3 billion was the solar market last year in 2020 in this country. Let's get that up and raised to 30 billion. That's what I say. Let's do that this year.
That's right. Gosh, we always have a great time with you. We're running out of time right now. Robert, before you go, I'd really like you to just mention your nonprofit and your business here before we let you go.
Yeah, everyone. Hey, Robert Blake, SolarBear.earth, and Native Sun Community Power Development, nativesun.org. And I just got on the board of a really cool new nonprofit called Covenant Solar. It's out in Standing Rock, and we're going to be doing some really good things in Indian country. I'm really excited. We got some really powerful people on this board, and I'm super excited to go out and meet with them in a couple of weeks at our board meeting.
Well, Peony Gigi for being on and sharing all this great information. And it's great because we have to combat all that bad information that's out there, places like Enbridge and things like that. So we really, really, really appreciate you on, Robert. Have a great week, and we'll be right back with a Sacred Animal section with Wendy.
Mm-hmm. Stay with us.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
If you're hurting in your relationship or have been affected by sexual violence, you're not alone. Strong Hearts Native Helpline can help you through these difficult and uncertain times. Strong Hearts Helpline is a free 24/7 confidential domestic dating and sexual violence helpline for Native Americans. Help is available by calling 1-844-762-8483 or by clicking on the Chat Now icon on strongheartshelpline.org. This message is sponsored by the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center.
Hey, welcome back. The Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanjahade.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Oh my goodness.
That's so awesome. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, I want to introduce my awesome and beautiful wife, Wendy. Wendy has been an animal advocate for many years, and she works on, local and national issues. Welcome, Wendy.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Hanaji Hihani, and that means cares for them. And as everybody knows, Curtis gave me that name, my Dega. Curtis goes by Mashke Hanajinga, which means walks on white clouds.
Just talked to him today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. I love Curtis. I miss him. Yeah. So I am a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on local and statewide animal issues, and it's my pleasure to do this. Today I have some kind of bad news.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So Howling for Wolves, who is one of our sponsors, put this up. Howling for Wolves is in Helena, Montana. And this is their post, and I'm just going to read their post. Today is a somber day. Today, September 15th, 2021, the extermination of wolves begin in Montana, reversing decades of conservation efforts. Quote, many people may or not know this, but beginning today, the very wolves that millions of Americans and international guests come to watch and enjoy in Yellowstone National Park can be legally killed when they step out the park boundary. Montanans, is that how you say it? Montanans, and
Idiots.
other. Okay, yeah. Montanans and other legal license holders can kill 10 wolves apiece. In Idaho, there is no limit on how many they can be killed. Yes, this is a retribution by the states of Idaho and Montana towards the federal government anti-wolf policy towards a species that has been forever prosecuted just for being wolves, our cherished domestic dogs are direct descendants, you know. It's okay in the U.S. to blow a wolf to pieces with a high-powered rifle and then go home and hug your dog. Depending on winter conditions and how the elk move in and out of the national park, the wolves will move around too. Just imagine the Yellowstone wolves being watched for over 2.5 decades by people through their binoculars, right? And spotting scopes and taking pictures of them, and habituated to trusting humans only to step out of the park over the next several months of fall and winter into the field of view of high-powered rifle scope to be shot dead. What does a person do with a dead wolf? What does a person do with 10 wolves? What does a person do with 15 or more? Nobody knows. They're going to end up in a dumpster. That's what's going to be happening. This is a quote. I've worked closely with the recovery of gray wolves in the northern Rockies for 4 decades. There is no scientific reason to be killing wolves. Wolf killing is pure politics and always has been. Legislators in Idaho and Montana want you to know they hate wolves and are the powers that be that send a message to all Americans. The native gray wolf in an unwelcome guest and must die.
Wow.
Yeah, this is from Howling for Wolves.
Wow.
And this is what they put up. And it's really, really serious, and it's really, really sad. So we want everyone to spread the word and to take action today at relistwolves.org/MN. Again, that's relistwolves.org/MN. We need to get the gray wolves put back on the endangered species list. If everybody remembers, in January when Trump left office, that was the last thing he did. He put he just killed the wolf's protection by taking them off the Endangered Species Act. And now they have no federal protection, and states can do whatever they want to the wolves.
Listener here, Kathleen, put up, they're doing what they did to the bison, the same thing.
Absolutely.
And it's an attack because there are, we talk about sacred animals, almost passe, but not every nation, but I know most nations, or a lot of native nations, clans are wolf.
Yes.
And Lewis, we talked about how people over thousands and thousands of years, natives here, have watched the wolf on how they live and have copied it in their own personal lifestyle.
Exactly. Howling for Wolves said it just perfectly. It's all about politics. The cattle ranchers, the sheep ranchers, these mega ranchers who have money, who have lots of lobbying power in the White House, have taken over. They just did a study recently where they took a carcass of I don't know if it was a baby calf or a sheep or some animal that died, right? It just died. And the carcass was laying there. And what they did was they fenced off the area where that dead carcass was around, right? And they put flags, paper flags or cloth flags. That's what I should say. It's called something. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But they put these flags that just kind of whisper in the wind, and it was a deterrent. The calf or that a dead animal was there for 2 weeks. There's cameras that have body cam of wolves going back and forth, circling this area, but not one in 2 weeks went through the fence and got the carcass. And that just goes to prove to you that we could humanely keep these wolves alive, and they don't kill our cattle.
Yeah. Kathleen just said too, they never came near her farm ever.
Right. And if you have a farm and if you have calves and sheep and animals, and a wolf goes on your property, you could shoot the wolf.
Right.
You have the right to do that, but let's not kill them all. Let's not just obliterate.
Go on a hunt.
We're going to obliterate. They live in packs. They have family members. It's just a really, really sad thing that this is happening right now.
Yeah.
Everyone, listen, we got to call Deb Haaland, give her a call President Biden, ask them to please relist the gray wolves onto the Endangered Species Act. And that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do to get
Period.
Period. The end. You know, right now in Minnesota, we're safe right now. We're not having, a wolf hunt here, but they're thinking about having another one in Wisconsin. I'll talk about that again, right? After they obliterated, I don't know how many wolves, and we talked about that for weeks and weeks, but this is what's happening in Montana and Idaho right now.
Wow.
Today
Wendy.
it started. Yeah.
So
I'm sorry to bring bad news, but we need to do something about it. We need to protect the wolves. We need to make phone calls. We need to send emails, and we need to get in touch with everyone who needs to know.
This is
about
not,
this.
I just want to make something clear that this is not bad news. This is real news that you aren't going to hear anywhere else. And I really appreciate it, Wendy. You know, it's disturbing how our fellow humans, like you were talking about the Wisconsin thing, how that went down. I mean, they had a long...
They shut the wolf hunt down in 72 hours because they went over their quota. That's how people just want to go out and just kill things.
Exactly. Hey, I want to give a shout out to Lewis for doing the news today. Wendy for always doing what she does. State Senator Heather Keeler stopped in with some great news. And of course, Bob Blake from Red Lake with the solar news. If you're listening to this show, you are part of the resistance. We need to resist, divest, join a group, and run for office. You've been listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake. We're still here. We are the seventh generation.
Free Leonard Peltier. Stop line 3. Please get vaccinated.
See you tomorrow.
Hey, it's Tom. Were you aware that since 2009, All Energy Solar has provided clean energy solutions all around the region, and their local dedicated team has helped hundreds of